We all know that Canada has less than an attractive record, some would say poor record, when it comes to commercializing our innovation. And if this poor track record continues, the consequences are going to be severe. According to an author of a recent report, the quote she said is the following: "The world is targeting our intellectual capital and property, and it's leaking out of this country. That leakage is a significant threat to our national prosperity. Canadians should not be selling their intellectual property as a raw material, then leasing it back as if it was a finished product. We should be reaping all the benefits of our own ideas and innovations. But to reap those benefits, we simply must become more entrepreneurial. We must be driven to retain our own ownership of our own innovations, and most important, we got to be driven to bring those innovations to market. I believe Canadian universities can and must do more to help foster this entrepreneurial drive. So, what should we do to help these student innovators reach their potential? I think universities need to take on 3 additional tasks. First, we need to connect our best and our most passionate innovators to each other, to business, and at the earliest stages. Second, we really need to teach them to be innovators and to be their own bosses. And third, we need to support the kind of research they do, because it's this kind of research that leads directly to markets and to economic benefit. Simply put, the strategy that I will outline is to connect them, teach them, and support them. So let me take them in order. The first task is to connect them. These young innovators need a place to land here in this city or in any part of our country, a place where they are surrounded by other like-minded innovators. That's why in April of 2010, Ryerson opened up the Digital Media Zone. Our students gave it the name DMZ. For those that read DMZ as having another connotation, I will respond, the students gave it that name. The zone is located on 2 floors of 10 Dundas East, and very soon it will be on its 3rd floor. It has tripled in size in the 19 months. The zone is a space for student-driven research and learning. Like all our university programs, there is a very rigorous admission process to get into the zone. Applicants must have a unique innovation and prototype. They must be passionate about their innovation, and they must have a business plan with a clear market. In return, the zone provides workspace to pursue their research together. The DMZ is really a sample of the best young innovators in the city. Right now, there are more than 80 different innovations in the zone. And let me tell you something that really surprised me. Some of those developers, once they were admitted, decided to combine their ideas and pursue new innovations together. So the zone has already proven to be stronger than the sum of its parts. Most of the developers, of course, are Ryerson students, undergraduate and graduate students. But if you went there, you would find some are alumni. You would also be surprised that there isn't a library card admission and that some are from other universities and colleges there. Then you would look around, you'd say, there's some private sector people here. And then you would find that we have invited people from around the world here. And just recently, we're in India, and 6 fellowships were given to IIT Delhi and 6 to IIT Madras. And we expect not only will they be there, but our students will have that opportunity to be in their country with their innovation. So the zone connects young innovators to government and to business. And let me give you one example of the connection to business. Last year, the Paris Metro launched its mobile transit companion. This is Paris, France. It provided a real-time schedule for updates and station wayfinding, and it provided the users of that technology multiple languages. That mobile transit was developed by a team in the zone called Flybits. And the Flybits IP platform was developed by a Ryerson graduate student through his PhD research. In other words, it was innovation built here, based upon intellectual property that is owned here. What's interesting is that Flybits is now developing the context-aware application for Go Transit. So we are connecting, in this example, the innovators to business, not only around the world, but here in our own backyard. We are also connecting innovators to investors, and this is truly an important function. The Jenkins report on innovation in Canada was released just 2 weeks ago, and it detailed how hard it can be for Canadian entrepreneurs to find venture capital. Angel investors visit the DMZ all the time. And what is very interesting is that when I spend time with angel investors, this is what I hear quite often, that the time spent in the DMZ can be the difference between a lost idea and an investment-ready innovation. The results we've seen so far have been staggering. Since the zone has been opened, you've heard that 36 companies have been started, 300 jobs have been created. What's more interesting as well is that 50 different private sector companies have partnered with the zone. And at the outset, I mentioned that Canada has a problem with intellectual property leaking out of the country. The zone has shown that we can help stop that leakage by connecting young innovators to business investors here. So the first task I see for universities is to connect the young innovators to each other, to business, and to investors. So let me move on to the second task, teach them. Specifically, young innovators to be their own bosses. I think it's clear to everyone that entrepreneurship is going to become a more and more important part of the Canadian economic prosperity agenda. And I think Canadian universities must adapt to this emerging reality. We must prepare more students to work for themselves instead of for someone else. Let me put this issue into some context. When universities train a doctor, a dentist, a nurse, a journalist, a social worker, and in many other fields, we give them hands-on experience. And at some point, we expect them to be able to do that professional work without a life jacket. But what about students who want to own their own companies? They need the same sink or swim learning experience. But Canadian universities, not as a rule, do not provide this kind of sink or swim learning experience to students who want to start their own company. I think entrepreneurship is a blind spot. When governments want to know how well universities are doing their job, they ask us, how many of your students found a job in 6 months of graduating? How many found a job within 2 years of graduating? They never ask universities, how many of your young students started their own company? How many incorporated their own company? Or how many hired their first employee? Universities need to offer better hands-on education for students who want to work for themselves. Even at Ryerson, where we're proud to say at the Ted Rogers School of Management, we have the best entrepreneurship in the program, we know we can do better, and I want to thank my colleagues for being the ones who said this hands-on experience is essential. This is what the DMZ does. In fact, our Faculty of Entrepreneurship played a key role in creating the zone. The young innovators in the zone aren't working on a class project. They are trying to build a real business around their own innovations. They have the drive, they want to own their ideas, and they want to commercialize them. The DMZ is for people like them. It's where young innovators learn the path that can lead their raw innovation to a profitable market venture. And they are not learning that path by reading about it or by watching someone else walk it. They are learning that path by actively taking the risk that all entrepreneurs must take and must learn. It's the best way to learn, and it's how they want to learn. And we certainly have no shortage of young people who want to apply to the zone. So this is what zone-based learning can accomplish. It can expose young innovators from any field to the real-life rigors of launching their own business. So that's what I would say about teaching them. So let's move to the third task, which is support them. Support young innovators in their core endeavor, namely taking their research and moving that research to market. Let me start here by making a key distinction between discovery-based research and market-driven research. Most discovery-driven research is conducted by university faculty. Its primary goal is to expand the frontiers of human knowledge. Its goal was never meant to commercialize that application. Discovery-driven research is an essential part of what all universities do in this country. Market-driven research lies further along the spectrum. It's about finding solutions to immediate and pressing needs for innovation in business, government, or the voluntary sector. It's not about products and widgets alone. Market-driven research can also be about improving public services and business processes. But it's the kind of market-driven research that is being undertaken in the zone. Some people argue that we spend too much money on basic discovery research. I disagree. It's worth every penny. Canada provides financial support for discovery-driven research throughout its life cycle, and it has made us world leaders. But we should also support market-driven research throughout its entire life cycle. And we have recently begun to move in that direction. The Government of Canada has created new programs to encourage more market-driven research within our universities, and so has our provincial government. These are welcome changes, and I urge them to continue down this path. To improve the commercialization record, we must support the kind of research that is driven by market needs. A university is a logical setting to channel and deliver this kind of support. We can deliver that support by creating the new research spaces, spaces that are dedicated to market-driven research, and providing the young innovators their space. That's what the DMZ does, and that's who the DMZ attracts. So there you have it, 3 tasks: connect innovators to each other, teach them how to be their own bosses, and support that research. Ladies and gentlemen, if we can accomplish these 3 tasks, we will help stem the tide of intellectual property flowing out of our country. We will improve our track record on commercialization, and we will lay the foundation for industry clusters that can compete globally. And perhaps, most important, we will create a community and a country of entrepreneurs. And we need strong incentives for post-secondary institutions to create them. Canada's innovation agenda is really starting to take shape. The Jenkins report has helped move the discussion in the right direction. But as we move forward, here is my concern. I fear that Canada's innovation agenda will bypass our most talented and driven young innovators. We cannot afford to bypass them. Yes, we will need the right tax incentives for business. Yes, we need a strong venture capital sector. There are indeed many, many parts of the puzzle. But in my mind, it's young people who I would put my money on as creating the next wave of innovative ideas that will be commercialized and truly stop that leakage. Post-secondary institutions are the place to reach them. And if we fail to make them active participants in the innovation agenda, we will miss the mark. I hope you've seen a glimpse of what is possible. It's possible at Ryerson, it's possible everywhere. What it takes is for us to believe in our youth and to put them right at the forefront of the innovation agenda of our country. Thank you very much.